One Piece is amazing for one reason or another, and if you're watching this video, then clearly you're like me and you love everything One Piece, including the inconsistencies, because quite frankly, inconsistencies lead to discussions or debates depending on who you're talking to, and the differences in opinion is actually one of the best parts of being in the One Piece community, because when you get the opinions of another One Piece fan, you start to look at events quite differently. And that's what this video is about. I was recently doing that thing that we all do where we get caught watching old One Piece clips on YouTube, and I found myself watching What Else But Marineford again for the millionth time. And something really caught my eye, that with everything we know now in the story, I thought, yes, this is actually a topic for discussion. So you might be able to guess what the topic is from the title of this video. However, there are many other points that I came across which I think are really interesting and I believe are great to discuss, so keep on watching and find out more. Now before I get started, as usual, make sure you leave a like on the video, as it helps so much with that YouTube algorithm. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can remain up to date whenever I, Mr Premps, drop more content just like this. And as an affiliate member, I also want to give a big shout out to the Void Century Club, as they are one of my favourite One Piece forums and one I'm a huge supporter of. So if you love One Piece discussions and talking about it with other One Piece fans, I'll leave a link to the forum in the description to this video, so make sure you check it out. And now the formalities are out the way, let's get into the video. So as I mentioned, I was in the One Piece rabbit hole watching videos and found myself watching Marineford. Now for those of you who haven't seen Marineford in a while, I'm not going to break down the arc, but honestly it's amazing, so go check it out. And if you want an arc review, I'm sure there's many YouTubers who've done one, so go and check them out. Now for those of you who do remember Marineford, the part I want to talk about is that part where Luffy versus Mihawk and they clash together. And no, I'm not going to power scale this, because honestly, if you're trying to power scale at Marineford, you could discuss that forever and not reach anywhere. But what I came across was the part where Luffy goes to hit Mihawk with I believe it was a jet pistol, but then he has what we believe to be a reality check and realise that had he done that, Mihawk would have literally just chopped his hands off. And therefore Luffy hesitated and decided that punching Mihawk wasn't the correct option. However, what I couldn't remember was how this fight went down in the manga. So like a true fan, I went back to the manga and I looked to see if I could find this panel. And lo and behold, I did. And as a true theorist, I thought, wait, could this be Future Sight? And for those of you who don't know what Future Sight is, it's an advanced form of Observation Haki which allows the talented individual to see a short period into the future, unlike your basic form of Observation Haki where you can only sense the intent and react accordingly. The first time we were actually introduced to the advanced form of Observation Haki was during Whole Cake Island, where our boy Katakuri was flexing the whole arc, and he was able to see a precise mental image of what he believed was going to happen in the immediate future. Now through Katakuri's battle with Luffy, we did find out the limitations of Future Sight, as it requires complete and utter focus in order to be used, and if the who is using the ability loses focus, then the will be unable to use said ability. Now we actually saw this from Katakuri, because for 95% of this fight he was absolutely insane, but for that 5% where he lost focus, we were able to see its downside. Now I know what you're thinking, we had to go all the way to Whole Cake Island and meet a 1st Division commander who was literally OP in order for an ability like Future Sight to be explained to us. And now Mr Premps is suggesting that Luffy used this ability at Marineford. However, I am not alone in my thinking. Remember I told you how much I love discussions in the community, even when some do become toxic. Well, I went onto Twitter and brought this panel up for discussion with some fellow One Piece readers, and there was quite a few opinions that were thrown out. Quite a few people felt that Luffy was just exhibiting common sense, and his common sense told him that for such an excellent swordsman with the skills of Mihawk, it would lead to his hands being chopped off. And at first, I was willing to agree, and that's exactly what I believed. But then my boy Say chimed in and said he didn't think it was future sight but your standard observation haki, with the panels to back up his thoughts. We have the panel where Luffy is training with Old Man Hyogoro, and in this panel he explains to Luffy that in the midst of danger, that power truly blossoms. He then showed the panel of Luffy's realization that his arms would be cut off, alongside Mihawk's comments of Luffy being surprisingly calm. And finally, he provided another panel where Luffy is in the midst of battle with Katakuri and unable to hit Katakuri, with Katakuri explaining that for observation haki to properly work, you have to be calm. And this made me think that Sage was onto something, and observation haki was definitely being exhibited here by Luffy without him knowing it. But where I have issues is whether standard observation haki would give Luffy the ability to foresee an event that's about to happen. So I continued the discussions on the timeline, and I've forgotten who it was, but someone highlighted to me that they thought that Luffy had actually exhibited standard observation haki before this, and they drew my attention to One Piece manga chapter 126, where Luffy is battling Mr. 3. And Mr. 3 creates a bunch of wax clones of himself, and Luffy has to work out which is the real Mr. 3. And on Luffy's first attempt, Luffy is able to give the real Mr. 3 a jet stamp. And when questioned how he knew which one was the real Mr. 3, he explained it was instinct, which surprisingly is what the chapter is called. Which makes me once again question, was this some sort of observation haki? And if so, Luffy must have used future sight at Marineford as a progression to this. But honestly, I really don't know, and would love to know what you all think about this panel, and whether you think it was common sense, standard observation haki, or maybe the use of future sight. I know you were all probably expecting a direct answer from me, so if you're going to ask me what I think it is, I think this was Luffy unknowingly using a real early stage of future sight by exhibiting the key requirement, and that's calmness. I honestly believe Oda has had haki in the forefront of his mind for a long time, and this could be part of his typical foreshadowing of powers. Now many believe that Shanks used Conqueror's haki as early on in Romance Dawn in order to intimidate that Sea King, whereas others decide to play devil's advocate and suggest that he didn't even have haki as he lost his arm. And to be honest, for me, it's something I find personally hilarious in the community, as we all actually just have our own opinions. And one thing I can say for certain is that Luffy showed us multiple times pre-time skip that he had Conqueror's haki, such as in Amazon Lily during his fight against the Hancock sisters, and then once again in the arc that we're currently discussing, Marineford, where he used it again. So if he was able to show such an ability so early on that is meant to be advanced, I don't think it's impossible to believe that he was using advanced observation here. But that's just me. As I said, I really want to know you guys' thoughts. So let me know down in the comments, and if you want to get involved in discussions like this, then make sure you follow me on Twitter too. And as always, if you like anything I've had to say, please make sure you leave a like on the video, and if you'd like to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out whenever I drop content just like this. Say